Jeffrey is so lonely. No friends, no girlfriend, no goals. He has nothing to do, so he sits by himself and he scrolls. Isn't there anyone who will be friends with young Jeffrey? All this alone time has got him horny. Adonis. Adonis is a social butterfly and everyone loves him. But it's interesting, he's not around people 24/7. Adonis enjoys his quiet times of solitude. Look, there he is. He's going into his cave. I wonder what he's gonna do. Let's spy on him. He's just sat there looking at his wall. But he's not on his phone, he's not scrolling, he's not consuming. Why does he look so happy? He's just staring at his wall. Oh, he's got his journal, he's writing down his ideas. He looks like he's having an amazing time just sat by himself in his own thoughts. How did he train his mind to be so friendly with himself? Let's find out. One day I was in school and we were actually next to the lockers. My friends are talking about what happened last night. They're saying that, I don't know, they did some like adventurous stuff and it was crazy. Then they started pranking one of the guys who were there because they all had a sleepover. You know, a little part of me is kind of jealous. I wasn't there, but I'm trying to play it a little bit cool. And it's when they say that, oh yeah, that's when one of our friends fell asleep, so they pranked him and I don't know, they did something to annoy him. I laughed and I went, oh yeah, that's why I don't come to your sleepovers. And it was brutal. It's like their smiles kind of changed and one of them went, we don't invite you. I tried to play it off, you know, in a cool way of, oh yeah, that's fine, I couldn't really come anyway. But yeah, I was that kid who wasn't getting invited like to his friends' parties and sleepovers and those kinds of things. And look, I can't blame those guys. They're allowed to invite who they want around their house. But of course, like being the kid who's left out is it is painful. It is so painful. I tried to like hide, you know, the feeling of being left out and try and play it off, but it really fucking hurt, especially because of almost the aggression that they showed of like looking at me like this, like, no, we don't invite you to these things. And I just felt like, you know, so uncomfortable. Like you just wish you could just click your fingers and be teleported out of this situation. I spent my childhood, my teenage years like wishing to be accepted by people, and when I continuously wasn't, I had to learn how to be alone. And it's odd because what I wanted to be accepted by these friends would have in the long term led me to the worst life. I would have ended up like them. Instead, because of like the social isolation and the need to be fine by myself, that's how I discovered this kind of content. It's how I found myself in online communities where men were talking about weightlifting and how to deal with women and how to make money and all this like masculine shit that we had never heard of in school. Years later, that leads to me reading books on business, starting my own business, becoming financially free. And now I just spend my free time helping guys to try to improve their lives as the men before me had helped me. How interesting is that? Because if I was more invited into the social circle, it's realistic to assume I would have ended up as those guys have ended up now. And it's not horrible. They've all got like stable jobs and stuff, but you get my point. It's like, it's not usually the life that like a young ambitious man wants to end up in, like a normal 9-to-5 life and still living in the same hometown and everything. So around these like teenage years, I started to become a bit more of a recluse. I was on my laptop. That's when I first discovered websites like Reddit, and I started to read online of, you know, just people giving each other advice or what was happening in the news, and I was broadening my worldview. Eventually I stumbled upon like those masculine communities, and then that's what really took my life to the next level, because every day I'm being reminded to act like this, not like that. Don't be a pussy, don't be a pushover, work hard, meditate, lift weights, don't stop lifting weights, don't be walked all over by a woman. I'm learning these important things because I'm at home all day by myself, as you probably are right now. You're watching this video and you're realizing the value of being by yourself because you're by yourself. This is actually the weird competitive advantage, because I'm telling you, the goals that you have and most people have, like to grow the business and become financially free, requires long periods of isolation. The first like 1 year in business, when you're just a complete nobody, you're some like random kid who's just turned like 18 or 20 years old. You don't have employees. You can't spend that much time with your old friends anymore because you need to just fucking grind all day, every day, because you are the business. So you may as well just work more. It's a valuable skill that I learned, and I really want to pass that on to you for this video. And so I just want to break down the few ways that I can think of that I learned to like being by myself, so that hopefully we can just make it more enjoyable for you. And you know, the time where I genuinely actually realized I had developed this skill, because it was always setting up in the background, you know, I was getting more used to just being by myself, whatever. But it was actually such an interesting time. I was in Dubai, so it was 2022, and I've just went to Dubai for the first time to record some videos with Iman Gaji, and I'm staying over at his place, and there was something that he wanted to do. He wanted to go to like this lunch or something with like a big group of people, and my gut instinct was just like, I just felt like I wasn't really going to enjoy it. So I said to him like, oh, no disrespect, but I don't actually want to come. Would you mind if I didn't come? And he was fine with it, and I said like, I'll just chill out at the home if that's okay, and he was fine. So he went, and I got the place by myself, and literally I just lied around like basking in the sunlight that was coming through the window, and I was just enjoying my time. Like I put on peaceful music on my phone, I started journaling in my little notepad that I had, I started reading books, and I realized like I was having such a good time. And that's when it clicked. I was like, oh shit, like I've become my own best friend. I have better times when I'm by myself than with 99% of people. No disrespect to those people, it's just that it's a skill that I've been able to build up because I enjoy my own company. I get such good ideas. I have literal fun just by myself, and not even in like a degenerate way where, you know, I'm consuming content, but in the kind of still serotonin kind of way where I just can sit here doing very little and actually have like a pleasant life experience. And I think that's such a valuable skill that I'd love to be able to pass on to some people who are watching this. So how did I create that version of me who went from being so insecure and yearning for the connection of other people, not even just the connection, but the acceptance of other people, of being invited to the parties and the sleepovers, or we should say of not being invited to them, to actually preferring my own company? The first step was the hardest, which was to just fucking suffer through the rejections, because it kind of toughens you up. And when you don't have another choice, that's the first time when you know, you have to basically be by yourself, so you learn to like it. So if you're someone who's going through a similar childhood or teenage years as I was, and you've got friends who aren't inviting you to stuff, and you know, you don't maybe even have that many friends to begin with, there's actually a pleasantness that's going to arise from the pain that you're experiencing, which is like you're basically training yourself to just be fine by yourself. And what's really nice about this is you're training yourself to be you. When you're next to other people, a lot of the time you almost have to adopt some of their values and what they want to do. But when you're completely by yourself, you get to determine what your values are. You get to follow your own curiosity. You feel like watching this video today, so you're watching this video today. Let's say you had your girlfriend, you know, like a potential girlfriend who's with you. You wouldn't be watching this video because maybe she doesn't want to watch it. Do you see how you get to live more authentically when you're by yourself? And I'm sure there'll be someone who says like, oh no, even when I'm with other people, I'll still do what I want. Yeah, sure, but a lot of us aren't like that. A lot of us, especially the kind of guys who might be watching this, are willing to almost like bend over backwards when we're in that social setting, and you know, we don't want to watch this movie, but if someone else wants to watch it, we'll watch it. We're just happy to be here, basically. But when you're by yourself, you actually train your own curiosity. You train your own interests, which is very valuable. So right here, right now, even though this sounds weird, you're making progress. By being alone and by doing what you want, you're discovering who you are, and that's no small feat at all. That's actually huge. So congratulations on that. But there are two kinds of alone time, and once you differentiate between these, you'll realize why sometimes being alone feels fucking boring. Like it puts you in that Goblin Jeffrey mode where you're just doing the bad habits, and sometimes it actually feels really pleasant, like that stillness that comes from like journaling with some peaceful music, maybe some tea. You know the difference, right? Sometimes you're alone and you're like just scrolling on your phone. Other times you're alone and you're smiling, you're journaling, you're reading, you're just having a good time. This is how I differentiate between the two. Those times when I actually like being by myself, what I've noticed is, this is gonna sound so weird, it feels like I'm on a date with myself. Those times when I'm enjoying my alone time, it feels like I'm treating myself like someone that I'm dating. I'm literally keeping the place clean. I'm setting on the music. I'm lighting candles. Like this is what I personally do, and you can kind of copy some parts of this. But I'm treating myself like someone who's like coming over, like a guest. Like, you know, like someone I'm trying to, not impress, but you get my point. Like I'm trying to like win their hearts. I'm making an effort. I'm not just lying around with some, you know, slightly dirty clothes, just scrolling or anything. I'm doing the opposite. opposite. I've cleaned up the place. I'm putting on some nice music. I've ordered some, I don't know, some nice food, or I've made some tea, or I've got like a nice little treat, and I'm not just going to eat it like a goblet, but I'm going to enjoy it slowly. I'm not just staring into a screen. I'm like really just being present in the real world as I would be if, for example, I had a girl over. The times where I don't like my solo time, and I bet the times where you don't like when you're by yourself, is when we're basically just like consuming and we're in Goblin Jeffrey mode, like full on, like, just acting like a Jeffrey. Like Jeffrey's like, like just the most guys who are just lazy and consumers. We're just staring into the phone. We're racking up the screen time. We're doing fake cope work on our laptops. Like we're not really doing anything real, just writing some bullshit, or like, I don't know what you could be doing. Like for me, I usually just do like tab switching. Like I'll just be on Google Chrome and I'll open up one web page, I'll get kind of bored. I'll open up another one, I'll get kind of bored. When you're spending your time like that, it doesn't feel good to be alone. You're just waiting for something to do. You've got nothing, right? But it's when I kind of like exhale, I make this into like a really peaceful, loving environment. I put on the nice lights, I put on the candle. You get my point, right? You can see the difference of the energy. That's when it just becomes so enjoyable to be here by myself. Honestly, it becomes so enjoyable that literally having a girl over and having sex is less fun than me just kind of sitting around in that kind of solo date night energy. So I want you to take a lesson from this, right? Ask yourself what it would take to feel like you were on a date with yourself. Like imagine if you were the female version of you and you saw you as a man. What would you do as his partner to make him feel like really relaxed? You'd probably, I don't know, put on the music, light the candles, put on like some soothing lights and sounds, and you wouldn't just, pass him a phone, like an iPad to fucking scroll on like a shit parent does with their children. You'd give him something peaceful, like a nice like little task to do where he feels useful. You're fixing like some table or something, but not in a rush to do it. You've got this slow stillness, free schedule. That's what you'd do if you were trying to love yourself, so why not just act like that? I found it's such a big difference. My alone time can be kind of cancerous and low quality, where I'll just scroll like everyone else. I'll end up on Instagram, I'll be opening and closing apps, I'll be trying to figure out what work to do, but I'm not really doing any valuable work, so it's not even productive, or it doesn't even feel good or anything. I'll just be, sometimes eating shit food, whatever. But it's when I come at it with a sense of like stillness and love, that's when the whole vibe changes, and it actually becomes really enjoyable and fulfilling to be by myself. I think a part of enjoying this time though, like I said, is the slowness. And that definitely comes with the privilege of like having the free schedule, because if right now you're in full time, like school or work, you wake up, you have to shoot over there, then you come back, then you've got homework, or you've got some other stuff to do, then you've got the gym, then you've got to eat, and it's 8 or 9 p.m. and you're sleepy, but you still got another 2 tasks to do, then you probably don't have the time for this. And it's like, it just feels kind of easier to just spend the last 20 minutes that you have just scrolling quickly, watching a quick little YouTube video. But I think that kind of energy, which you probably relate to, keeps you in that dysfunctional nervous state where you're just in like this fight or flight, go go go. And it's weird because although we are ambitious young men, I'm telling you, like the version of you that has more of that stillness and peace in his day will undeniably become more successful. I'll be doing that solo date night vibe that I told you about, like with the music, the tea, whatever, and I swear most of the time I randomly get a business idea then, because it makes sense, right? It's when you're relaxed and calm, when you're not even thinking about business or work or anything, when you're just like, I don't know, I'm journaling about my life, about family, about my relationships, whatever. That's when I randomly get an idea of like, oh, you should make that video, and I write that down. I don't jump onto it right away. Sometimes I do. If I really feel like, recording the video right away, then I will. But it's so interesting. Like, I feel like my business improves and your work and your school life will improve during these slow periods, which you're not even actually working on the thing. Because I heard once that that's how like the brain works, that when we're kind of stuck on a problem, we need to take a break and basically not even look at the problem anymore. Like basically stop working, focus on something completely else. And that's when we get a random insight for the thing that we were originally working on. If the problem for you is that you don't have enough time for this like slow vibe, I would actually argue that that's bullshit. Because again, chances are you've got what, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 hours of screen time. So we do have time. We absolutely do. The last 20 minutes of the night when you usually scroll or watch a YouTube video, that's 20 minutes where you could slowly, mindfully make a cup of tea, put on like some soothing, like peaceful, like lo-fi music or something like that, and just sit around and journal about what you're grateful for. And I guarantee that 20 minutes where you did that, you would actually enjoy and also get more value from than just the usual content consumption when we feel like we don't have enough time. It's just a good trade-off, and it's such a valuable skill because honestly, where the world is going, I do think there's going to be a lot more like alone time. I think we're just going to have to get used to that. Seems like everyone's quite divided. Everyone's just in their homes. We just had Halloween recently, and I'm pretty sure no one even knocked on my family's home back in the UK. When I was a child, so this was about like 15 years ago, 17 years ago, the streets would be full of kids who were trick-or-treating, like full. Like there'd be 50 people on your street going through house to house. We'd run out of like sweets to give people, and I would go out and I would get like a full shopping bag, like a thick shopping bag of sweets. These days, like I'm pretty sure like one random family turns up at our house. You know, I don't go out trick-or-treating obviously, but like I just kind of notice on that night if anyone even knocks on, because my mom always buys like all the sweets and everything, and usually like maybe one family will knock on now. It's just crazy. It's like people aren't as social anymore. People don't go outside. Like stranger danger was this big messaging, which was completely fucking manipulative and a lie, by the way. Like strangers aren't actually dangerous. You're most likely to be killed, assaulted, and raped by your family and friends, basically. Strangers, like you're actually more safe with a stranger than you are with family and friends, statistically. So the stranger danger movement, when I was in like high school, that completely and utterly terrified parents. And now with the rise of like fucking technology, phones, iPads, all this, people just don't need to go outside anymore. Like I never see a group of kids on their bikes outside like me and my friends used to be. When me and my friends, when we were in high school, we'd go out on our bikes, we'd always come across another 2-3 guys who were on their bikes, like in our age group as well. We'd talk to them, or sometimes we'd have like rivals or something like that. I never, when I'm back home in the UK and I'm driving around, maybe I'm driving to the gym, I never see groups of like boys out on their bikes playing sports or anything like that. Never see that shit again. It's sad, but that's the thing. Look, this is the world that we're in. Everyone's inside by themselves, and I do believe that the average person has a lot of alone time, but not like the peaceful alone time that actually is beneficial and healthy for them. It's this constant Jeffrey feeling of, you know, just this dopamine search and everything. It doesn't make you feel good if you're gonna have any alone time at all, which is not gonna be like the deep work time. Make it the peaceful solo date night. Now, by all means, you're gonna have some time where you need to be alone, and you can't have like the peaceful vibe because you gotta study, you gotta work, like I'm working right now. That's fine, but make sure it's like a high leverage important task that you're doing. Make sure you're not doing bullshit like tab switching, like, you know, one website to the next website. There's no clear task that you're really working on. You're just checking your notifications. Sometimes I do that, right? Like I have this online community, which is the top link if you want to join, you know, to talk about stuff like what I'm talking about here. And I'll just go onto it and I'll randomly scroll through the posts. I'm not even really reading them. I'm just kind of like fucking scrolling for no reason because of the search for dopamine. Sometimes I finish kickboxing in the evening and I get back and it's like I'm so hungry for dopamine that I want to scroll on my phone, on Instagram. I want to message girls. Sometimes that, like a lot of, basically fucking all the time, that I have that feeling, right? And I'm telling you, sometimes I have to just exhale, go onto my phone, go onto WhatsApp, message the restaurant that is downstairs below my building and tell them like bring me up like a ginger tea or something. And then that's when I start to like exhale a little bit. You know, I change it into the solo date night vibe. I shower up, I clean up a little bit, I turn the TV on and I put some like, you know, some like peaceful YouTube video. It's like some like lo-fi girl or some shit and she's just there studying or something like that. And it's like some peaceful music, light the candles, clean up the place, and then the restaurant guys walk in, give me the tea, and it's like, oh shit, like it's like the exhale is there. It's like the peacefulness is here. When you get into those dopamine pursuits and you really feel like you've got to scroll or you got to fuck or you got to fap, often you don't even have to listen to that desire. You really don't. Sometimes you can just like not. You can just choose to set up the solo date night vibe and save yourself from that little period of degeneracy. I really hope this helps you, honestly, because my life has been so improved since I started to enjoy my own time. And not even for my own fulfillment, but honestly, like if we're just talking about the materialistic stuff, I became rich as fuck because of this skill, by the way. Like my entire, like I retired everyone. Like I make like millions of dollars a year. I've made up like over like 1.5 like million profit in the last year. Profit, by the way, not like, you know, the cute numbers, the inflated numbers that entrepreneurs tell you. Profit, because I just like being by myself.
The one thing I'll say, which is slightly, you can click off if you want, but this is a separate point, but I just think this is interesting, is for me, a metric that I've met the right girl is that my solo time is better because she's here. That's just something for you to consider. Whether it's a girl or even guy friends, you know you've met the right people when you could actually have them over in your like solo date night, and it's an improvement. Like there's a lot of girls you might meet, let's say you're trying to invite them over for the same kind of vibe, that you'll just feel kind of annoyed by. You have to almost entertain them and all this stuff. You have to keep like looking over at them and, you know, like talk about like shit that you don't really care about. You have to play the game with them. You get my point, right? Even some with friends, like there'll be some who just disturb the peace, but there'll be some who kind of enter it and actually make that night even better. There's a phrase which is just so powerful. It's like alone time together. When you meet people like that, keep them around, because that's just so fucking awesome. There's someone who just joins your piece and adds to it. Doesn't take away. They add to the piece. There's something that they do. You know how I've mentioned a few things you can set up for this, like you light some candles, you put on the peaceful music, maybe drink some tea. Those are things that I like that kind of make me feel really calm. Imagine you meet someone who you do this night with and then they bring their own thing to it which you didn't even expect. I don't know what it could be. Like, I don't know, she a way to sit or some shit, like, you know, she brings a beanbag chair or something like that. When you meet people like that, like, keep them around, because that's very special, that you can have your alone time that you like, but it's even better because someone else is there with you. That to me is like when someone is really compatible with you. It's a girl who really is good for you. It's a guy who you become friends with and you actually are like really compatible with. Like I saw this Instagram reel which said like those friends who don't drain your social battery, or maybe who replenish your social battery. And it's just like two guys not saying anything. They're just eating. Like the concept is like you don't even realize they're there. You're just eating and it's like it feels like alone time in the sense of like pure peacefulness. You don't need to entertain them. You don't need to have an ongoing conversation. They're just eating, like, you know, just like picking through food, and they're not even like talking to each other, because it's just like sometimes you don't have to. With the right people, they can be sat next to you and you're both having like alone time but together. That's beautiful, man. I really wish that for you. I wish that for myself as well. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah!